everything is perfect and goes well. That rarely happens. So I'm excited to hear Michael's story tonight because I think it's I can't help but think that when we begin to hear these stories of dark times that have turned around, times that God's used us in and God's grown us in, I just can't help but think that kind of kicks the devil in the teeth a little bit, because the very things that he meant in Michael's life for bad, God turned these things around and he's using them for good. And I want to just have Michael up here, and we're going to get right into the Word.
Thank you very much. I want to stand over here. I'm sorry that side. All right, I am so excited. Who's excited to be here tonight? First of all, thank you. First of all, how awesome was Travis Ballard and company? Yes. Thank you. You guys can clap. The GFU section at the 11 o'clock on Sundays, if you want to come say hi, we sit right in the front. And it's awesome because I can sing as loud as I want and I can't hear myself. All I hear is Travis, and that's awesome. And then I'll be like driving home and I'll be like, corn! Oh, yeah, that wasn't me. So that's awesome. Well, I'll tell you this, when I first gave my message to Ryan, I felt like I wanted to tell my story. And when I first gave this message to Ryan, and you can ask him, it was an hour and a half long. So sit back, relax, take your coat off, get comfortable, because Ryan said we're going to do this Southern Baptist style, and we're going to be here like at least 5 or 6 hours. So if you guys want to go get food, as long as you bring me back some, like go to bed, go to school, come back. When you guys are here for Hume at 4:30, I will still be here. So, you know, this is just come and leave as you want. Anyway, I grew up in the church. I grew up going to church every Sunday since I can remember. The first church I was at, it was a very conservative church, and it was so conservative. We were the only family there that had a television. Yeah, and this was like 10 years ago. So I'm not going to compare, like, if you have a TV, like, you worship the devil, or I'm not saying that. And I'm not going to get into that, because that's a whole other thing. But, like, we really felt like the weird family, we were like the bad family. And, like, I don't know if anyone's, like, on Sunday gone to, like, Starbucks or Chipotle or anywhere after or before Sunday services. Has anyone done that? Boy, this is a really holy crowd. None of you guys, has anyone ever gone shopping on a Sunday? Okay, there we go. At that church, we would have shunned you by now. You would have been out. We would have kicked you out. So then we left that church when I was about 10, and we went to another church, less conservative, but still very conservative. We were one of 2 families that had their kids in public school, and they were all like the rest of them were all homeschooled, and they were like in the same homeschool group. So it was based, I don't know if you guys have seen Mean Girls, but it's like the plastics of homeschool, basically. I've actually never seen Mean Girls, but that's what they, I still gotta watch it one of these days. Anyway, and so once again, we just felt like, not part of the group. You know, we just felt like, you know, growing up, I was like, you know, church people aren't fun. You know, I was like, I didn't want to associate myself with them. And even when we started going here when I was probably around 15, and I'll say this the nice way I can, my mom really likes to talk to everybody. Like if you are in like the same area code as my mom, give her 15 minutes, she'll know everything about you. And so like, we would leave like as soon as Pastor Will gets up and like, be a blessing to others and all that. We'd like grab my mom, me and my brother, like the president, like we're escorting the president out with her head down, like don't talk to my mom. I want to go home and play video games, you know, or whatever I wanted to do then. But we were like, don't talk to her. And now, like I'm the last one to leave, and Ryan's like, go home. And I'm like, I'm here like way later than I should be. Anyway, so I just want you guys to know that growing up, I always was in church. Like when I tell this story, every Sunday I went to church. You know, I'd go and like every day, or not every like Sunday, I wish there was like construction or like an accident in front of us and like we physically couldn't go to church, and like now I'm here like 5 days a week, which is kind of weird. So I'm going to really start the story in middle school. Middle school was really rough for me, and I'm sure it was for a lot of people. I was bullied like mercilessly all 3 years. I got really bad grades. We didn't call them Fs, we called them Us. It's for unsatisfactory, but they hurt just as much as Fs do, trust me. And you get punished just as much as if you get a U. And like, I remember if I got a D, like that was really good for me. Like I went to summer school 1 year, but I should have gone all 3. But it was just like, I honestly don't know how I like passed middle school. It was that bad. And I remember like, if like at lunch, the only kids who would let me like sit with them were like, if they could make fun of me. You know, that became like a norm for them. I remember at least 1 day a week, every week, I'd come home crying. And at least 1 day every week I'd be in either the principal or the counselor's office. That became like a normal thing. Like they would expect me. And like I talk to teachers, I still do, but I like hang out with like teachers when I had freeze. And that's kind of weird. But I remember like I'd get in fights in like gym and like on the bus and stuff. So like everywhere I turned, it was like negative, you know? Like it's not like I had like, you know, I'm awful at every sport imaginable. You find a sport, I'm terrible at it. So it's not like I had like a travel sports team or something like to have friends with. I hated all my church people. And so it was like school, get bad grades, get made fun of, go home, fight about homework, play video games, go to sleep. Like that was my life for 3 years. And it wasn't fun. I remember, like I always, even though I never really had friends, I always wanted to have like people over. And so my mom was awesome. She would like get pizza or like video games, or we'd all go play laser tag and stuff. And I like every week I tried to like have people come over, and it would never really work. I remember like we had like a middle school like directory that had like the name, the home address, the phone number, and then the email address. And I remember like literally going through the list of people in my grade and calling literally every single guy and like asking if they want to hang out, if I knew them or not, which looking back now, I was like, why did you do like that? Embarrasses me now. I'm like, oh. I was like, why did I do that? Yeah, it was just, it was really bad. I remember like I was at lunch one time, and it was like the roast of Michael Flaspohler like every day. So they were like, you know, you're unathletic, or you're gay, or you live in a cardboard box. Those were the frequent ones, the greatest hits. And I remember one kid was just like laughing at all of them. And so I didn't even care they were making fun of me. I was just going to point out, I was like, you didn't make fun of me yet. You're just laughing at their jokes. And then he goes, you're ugly. And they all laughed, and that was the thing for like months. So I was like, awesome, table start. So somehow I get out of middle school. I expect in June when I walk across that stage, they're going to be like, yeah, you didn't actually pass middle school, and you're going to have to do it again. And I just want to say overall this, my parents have had a really rough divorce that started like when I was in like 6th or 7th grade, and it's still not over, and I'm a senior now. So that's like 5, 6, 7, 8 years. I'm bad at math because I was bad in middle school. You're sensing a theme. So I'm not even going to get into the whole divorce thing, but that was really hard. It still is. So just put that over as well. So I get out of middle school, and I'm like, all right, high school can't be worse than middle school. And we have 2 middle schools going into 1 high school, so 2/3 of the kids didn't know me, which was awesome, like fresh start. And you know, when I got my schedule and I'm going to the first day of school, I don't know if this happens with you guys, but like there's like maybe like a core of 4 or 5 people who are like in most of the same classes you guys are, and like lunch. So I had like the same 3 or 4 people who were friends themselves in like most of my classes and like my lunch and all that stuff. And so I started to naturally hang around with them. Like, you know, we'd be doing projects together, then, you know, I sit with them at lunch, then, you know, I get their phone number or whatever, and then we naturally become friends. And then probably around, I want to say like October of freshman year, I was sitting with them at lunch, and they were talking about like doing drugs and drinking alcohol. And like I never really did any of that stuff beforehand. But I was like, well, they do it and the rap guys love it. And I was like, well, it's in movies and stuff in college, like that's cool, right? Doing drugs is cool. So in like October of like freshman year, I started to get into drugs and alcohol. I started like smoking pot and stuff. And so I get into that, and I was doing that pretty much since pretty much a year ago. And then let's see, everyone who's not a freshman has taken Regents tests, right? Yes. Yeah. Okay. You guys know Regents Week then in June. Okay. Yes. I'm getting a lot of not happy yeses. So Regents Week is kind of cool. It's kind of cool for me because like my birthday's June 11th, so it's usually like my birthday's like the last day of school, which is kind of cool because I'm just like, that's my birthday present. So like the week before leading up with everything that happened in like middle school and stuff, my parents started having me see a counselor, and I saw her for like 2 or 3 years or so. We'd see each other like once every 2 weeks or so, and so it was like the week before Regents Week, so like the first week in June. It seemed to be like a normal session, and then at the end, I forget which my mom or my dad drove me, but she goes to my parent at the end of the thing and she goes, "You need to admit your son into Four Winds." And for those of you who don't know what Four Winds is, it's a suicide hospital in Saratoga. And so I was there for a week, and it was really like, I don't know if anyone's known people who've gone or whatever. It's crazy. I remember when I went, we went the next day. So I'm all worried. I'm like, crap, I'm gonna miss my first Regents week. I'm gonna miss all these tests and I'm gonna fail and life's gonna suck. I get there and the first kid that sees me, he comes up to me and he goes, "This is the perfect cross between prison and summer camp." And that's like exactly what it was. Because it's not like a hospital like Ellis or anything like that. It's literally like a summer camp in a prison. You get there and it's like it's multiple buildings, but they had like a building for youth people and older people and what have you. And I get there and instantly they start doing these tests. They start asking me all these questions. I had to like sign all these things and fill out all these questionnaires and whatever. And all these like counselors are seeing me and talking to me. And like I get there, they wouldn't let you bring your phone. They wouldn't let you bring like a iPod with like a camera or anything. I get there and they literally check every inch of you for if you're hiding drugs or like weapons or anything like that. And they really they don't trust, no matter who it is, they don't trust anyone there. Like I was the only person when I was there. I was the only person who did not actually try to commit suicide. Everyone else who was there with me tried and failed to commit suicide, and that's why they were there. And so I get there, and literally, I'm that kid who goes really hard in gym class, and so, I have all these, I'll be like diving in volleyball or whatever, and I have all these scars all over me, and they ask you where you got every scar. And I know for some people who are like really active, they're like, I don't know where I got half of these. And so you get there and they like really don't trust you. They take away, you have to take off your shoelaces, your belt. You can keep like an iPod, but you have to give them headphones and your charger, because those are all things kids have used to kill themselves with. We get there and it's like it's a 1-floor building, so you can't jump out the window. The window's like 4 inches thick. The beds and the chairs are all like nailed down to the floor, so you can't like lift them or hurt yourself with them. They put you on all kinds of meds. Like I have ADD, and so I'm on ADD medication. And their solution is, if you have a problem, then let's throw medication at you until the problem goes away. So like the ADD medication, I can't really sleep, so they gave me just meds to help me sleep, and now I can't get off them, so it's awesome. So like if I'm sleeping over somewhere, I'm like, I don't have my meds, I'll just lay there for like 8 hours. And it's so awesome. And so I get there, and all these kids, like the main thing I saw about them was a lot of them weren't like bad kids or anything. A lot of them just were like misunderstood. A lot of them have been to jail. All of them were on the nicotine patches. They all have done like every drug and told me all the positives and negatives about it. The most valuable evidence, or the most valuable advice they gave me was don't smoke crack, which was very good. I'm gonna use that one. And like everyone has, like, they cut their wrists, and everyone had those. And that's like, because it's the wrist and their veins there, it takes a while to like heal. It's horrible. There was one girl there who watched both her mom and her dad get killed in front of her. Like, that's one of the things, like, I can't even begin to like fathom what that would be like, you know? So I took like local tests, like the ones like the final your math teacher will give you or whatever, but I didn't take any Regis tests. But I spent my 15th birthday there, and I was there for a week. And even though I didn't like learn anything about God there or anything like that, it definitely just gave me appreciation of what I had. One final thing that they did there was every 15 minutes when you were sleeping, like bedtime's like at 9, every 15 minutes, and I'm not exaggerating, every 15 minutes, they would come in and shine a flashlight on your head to make sure you were like alive. So picture trying to sleep with every 15 minutes someone knocking on the door and shining a flashlight directly in your face. So I get out of there, but I don't really change anything. You know, I'm like, you know what, that's just because I'm sad or whatever. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. And so for the next 2 years, I affectionately call those years the sex, drugs, rock and roll years. I mean that literally. And that was basically my life for 2 years. That was what I did. I was like, doing drugs is cool. And people would be like, you do drugs? I'm like, yeah, I do, because I'm cool. And eventually, like, it took me a couple years, and this is like the, you could say, coming up on the 1 year anniversary that I kind of like started to move, to change my life. And it was just by, you know, like a year ago, Ryan came up to me. We met each other through mutual friends. And a year ago, I made the mistake of giving Ryan my phone number. Because you got the come to youth group text. I'm sure everyone here has gotten those. You know, it's fun, I promise. Whatever. And so, like I said, this was like an hour and a half, so I'm going to cut it way down. But I started coming on like Tuesday nights, which is young adults, because Ryan like tricked me into going. And then Ryan's like, well, what about Wednesday nights? And I remember I led games for VBS here at Latham. And that was the last time anyone ever will lead games for middle school ever, because that's my thing now. I'm the unofficial games pastor of GF Youth Middle School. We do youth worship, and it's awesome. I get to hold a microphone and dance, which is always fun. And then Ryan invited me. He was like, you should totally go to Hume Summer Camp. I was like, maybe. And my brother went to the winter camp last year, and he liked it, and I was like, sure, whatever, I'll go. And I thought like all of GF Youth was going, and there were like 5 people from GF Youth. And I was like, I'm so excited to see like, you know. And, you know, I remember being on the bus, and I'm like, I know no one except my brother. This is gonna be awful, like just a week. And I get there, and it was so awesome. Like, first of all, who's going to the winter retreat? If you didn't raise your hand, I feel bad for you. I honestly do, I'm not just saying that. It's awesome. I actually I turned in my phone. I was like, I'm not gonna be on my phone, but that was like the best decision I ever made, because there were no distractions. You know, I was at this isolated place with like 200 other people who the whole goal was to learn about Jesus and to experience God's presence. And so not having my phone was like, it was like I was totally isolated. I didn't care what people in Latham were doing. I didn't care what people in Niski were doing. Like, I didn't even care. It was awesome. And like, the speaker was awesome, and the worship was like super powerful, and like everything about it was fun. And it was like, once the week was up, I was like, wow, that's been 7 days. It was just, everything about it was awesome. And that's really when I was like, all right, I'm gonna give this thing a chance. I'm gonna see if I can change my life. And I was, at that point, you know, my plan was like, do whatever I want while I'm young. I basically wanted to live like the How I Met Your Mother life. Like if anyone's watched that show, like Barney was like my idol, which is not a good thing. I see people shaking their heads no, but that was like my thing. And then like when I was like 35 or whatever, I was like, I'll settle down then and become a priest or monk or something. That was my plan. And after I come back from Hume, I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna go to high school. So I work at Chipotle. Thursdays were my days. I moved it to Mondays. And you know, I started coming to Thursdays, and now I'm here like 5 days a week. I can't get enough. I can't get enough of this church thing, and it's so awesome. I know people like Mackenzie are always like, I'm high on Jesus. And you're like, don't you hate those people? Yeah, I went there. Yep, everyone look at her. Okay. I hate those people. I hate it.
You are that person.
I am that person now. That's the thing. That's the funny thing. So that's the only drug I'm on now. But I'm just using that to, you know. So anyway, I've been doing that since like August-ish, and Ryan put me on, or the whole team. I don't know why I'm singling out Ryan, but the whole team made me like a leader, which was really cool. And the leaders got to go to this conference in November, and once again, that was like Hume was like the best week of my life, but this conference was like the best weekend of my life. It was like it was a 3-day thing. And like the worship was awesome. Like I think I lost like 10 pounds in like water weight because there was like a mosh pit and I was like dancing, and it was awesome because I like stepped on everyone's toes. Because it's like when you're so close, you're like jumping and you're like, oh, sorry. And I'm gonna skip ahead to the middle night, I was just feeling really like conflicted at the time. I don't know, like it's hard to explain. And I was just feeling really like confused. And I remember we were just I like sat down. We were singing, and I just sat down. And I felt really conflicted. I felt really weird. And I just prayed. I said, God, whatever you want me to get out of this, let me get out of this. Let me, whatever you're trying to tell me, tell it to me. I have a very hard head. I don't take subtle hints well. And so, like, I just feel the need. I just stand up and I put my hands up, and instantly I just start crying. And it's not like the one tear and like the sniffle, and then, whatever. Like, this is like straight bawling my eyes out, like weeping, crying. And it was really weird because it's not like I was sad or anything. I've never cried for joy. I've always cried for pain or sadness, and I haven't watched a Notebook yet, so there's no reason for me to cry during movies or anything like that. And it was so weird, and it literally felt like it was going on for like 8 or 10 minutes, and I was so confused. I'm like, what? I'm crying, but my head is completely rational. Like, I feel calm and I feel at peace. And I'm like, why is this happening? I feel so confused. And like halfway into it, I feel what feels like 20 or 30 people like put their hands on me and start praying over me. And like, I don't know, like, I'm not a person where if multiple people talk to me at once, like, I can't hear what any of them are saying. There was 2 people next to me in my economics class today who were like here, the teacher's over here, and they're both in the ear, and I'm like, shut up, one of you, it's like, but it was so weird. There were tons of people praying over me, but I could hear and understand what each one of them were saying. And I could tell, like, I still know what each of them were saying now. It's like, it's weird how that works. And so I finally stop, and I feel sad. And I'm like, well, shouldn't this be reversed? I was really confused. So whenever you have a experience like that, the first thing you do is obviously go on social media and explain what you did, or explain what just happened to you. And so that's what I did. I went on social media and I just told them what I told you. And my old Sunday school teacher from my last church commented, and he was just like, you had some kind of a religious experience, and he showed me a part in the Bible where this one dude had a similar experience, and then when he got back from the experience, he felt really depressed. So, this is not theologically correct, but if this is heaven, this is earth, I was like, here, I guess. And so with all that, that just kind of like, I felt like God's like power, you know, and like what, you know, that just, it was just the weirdest thing that's ever happened to me. And that's pretty much where my story ends from this point. You know, my story's not over. I'm not up here saying how I'm a perfect person now. I still battle numerous problems. I have, like, I don't know how to say it, like demonic dreams / panic attack kind of things every night since Hume, which was July. So every night since Hume, like, I count on this, like, this is going to happen. And I will sit up, like, I will just be in my bed, like, until like 1 o'clock, like, freaking out. And so I'm not trying to say that, you know, I'm up here and I'm like a perfect person or whatever. But what I am saying is, God gave me an opportunity. God's not looking for perfect people. He's looking for available ones. You know, God took me and God helped me change so I can do good things for His glory. Like, God, I never thought that I could stop doing some of the things I've done. And at the time I was like, why can't I stop these things? But, you know, I've turned around my life in like 6 months, and that's really quick when you think about it. And, you know, I just want to tell you guys that, like, you guys don't know how lucky you are to, like, be here and have the leaders that you have. You know, I know Tony Williams gave his message like 2 months ago, we'll say? Yeah, 2 months ago. And he asked me, he said, can I use you as an example of a message? I was like, sure. And he comes back to me afterwards. And I knew Tony probably like 2 weeks prior to that's when I met him. And so he comes up to me, he goes, you know, you've been really on my heart recently. And I was like, really? He goes, yeah. He's like, you know, he's like, I've been praying for you a lot. And, you know, it's kind of like a radio station when you're praying. You have like the stuff that, like the prayer requests, and then you have the stuff you keep praying for, the loop. And so Tony was like, you were in my regular rotation and stuff. And I was like, awesome. But that's the thing, guys. You don't know how much your leaders like care for you. Like, I remember, Ryan knows way too much about me. Let's just say that. Like, I go to Ryan with like all my problems, and like all of your small group leaders and like everyone here is meant to like help you. You know, and I'm not saying that you guys need to go to a conference or go to Hume or even go to GF Youth to experience God. I've learned just as much at GF Youth as I have at these conferences or at Hume. And I've learned just as much on Sundays as I have here. And I've learned just as much reading the Bible every night and praying by myself than I have. So it's not like, oh, I'm going to go here so I get this religious. That's not what it's about. I'm just hoping everyone here just gives it up to God. Like, I was just like, God, whatever you want to do, just do it, you know? His will is like perfect. Like, there's nothing that can beat that. You know, He has a plan. And I'm kind of like, maybe that's why I went through all this. You know, maybe that's why this stuff happened to me, so I could come out of this stronger, and so I could like show people that no matter what's happened to you, like, you can turn it around. And that's the thing, guys. I just pray that you guys just give it up to God, and that you just open up and just let God do whatever He wants to do. And I'm going to invite the worship team up, actually, and I'm going to wrap up in 1 second. By the way, do you guys know your Bible works midweek? It does. See, I'm opening it right now, and it's opening. Like, it doesn't lock on Thursdays. He likes that. Okay. I'm going to go to Romans. Chapter 6, verse 14. For sin shall no longer be your master, because you are not under the law, but under grace. And that's what someone told me when they're like, if you get a speeding ticket, just read him that verse. He goes, the kid told me, don't say that. The kid told me, he goes, if a cop pulls you over, just say, we are not of this world, so we do not have to abide by the laws of this world. I was like, I want to try that one of these days. It's in Deuteronomy. You'll find it. You can just hide stuff in there. No, it's not. No, it's not. And then my second one is from 1 John chapter 4, verse 4. You, dear children, are from God. Oops. Oh, no. You, dear children, are from God and have overcome them, because the one who is in you is greater than the one who is in the world. And that's what I just want to leave you with, guys. Like, no matter what, I don't care what you've done in the past, and I don't care like what you're going to do. Like, God is more powerful than all of that. Like, God, whatever God wants is going to happen. It's going to happen anyway. You just got to let God do that. He's not looking for perfect people. He's looking for available ones. If you go up to God today and say, God, I'm not perfect. I'm here, God. Use me. He will take you. That's the thing, guys. Just give it up to God.